And we all know life of Buddha. He born as a king. He lived in a luxurious way. He got no opportunity to know the problems of life. But very later, after his marriage alone, came to know total life is sorrowful. He wants to find out a solution that the human being must be free from all of his sorrow. Right to the ways of meditation. It was told that two masters gave him instruction for his meditations and other things. And then he has done many kind of meditations. We all know what meditation is. Meditation gives many experiences. And Buddha also got many experiences through his meditations. In spite of his experiences, in spite of his hardest practices, cannot find a solution for his sorrow. Even though he has tried his level best, the way of meditation, as he is unable to get the solution, he make more serious in his meditation. He become more serious in his effort. Even though he tried in many ways, met only failure. And lost in a desperate condition, sat under a tree, not knowing anything to proceed further. He sat under a tree without knowing what to do more. Because he tried many ways, many kind of practices, many kind of yogas. As we know, meditation will give many experiences. But it has not solved his problem. So at last he sat in a desperate condition, what to do. Without knowing anything, what to do, how to proceed. So simply sitting under a tree without knowing anything, what to do. Because he has tried everything, failed. Even though he got some experiences, the experiences has not solved his problem. The experiences has not given the solution for the sorrow of the mankind. So he come to the conclusion he cannot proceed more in the same way. So he had to sit in a desperate condition. But while he sat in a desperate condition, naturally, without trying anything, he got the solution for himself. But he really surprised, because he had done many things for the result. But he did not got. But without doing anything, by simply sitting under a tree, got the result. He tried in many ways. He wondered what has happened within him. And we all know, he said to the mankind that desire is the cause of our sorrow. Desire is the problem. Desire alone creates our problem. Desire alone creates sorrow. This was his message. This is his message to the world. But actually, what he has found out is not that. What he has really found out is a different kind of thing. When he was sitting in a desperate condition, he has noticed mind was working, his mind was functioning in a different dimension. And in that dimension, no sorrow is there, no feeling is there. There is no permanency in any of his feeling. So he felt a different kind of feeling in his own mind. And he has named the mind, named the functioning of such kind of mind, nirvana state. And he told the nirvana state, he told many things about the nirvana state. The nirvana state, what is known as in other scriptures or anything, the nirvana state is the liberated state. Nirvana state is the highest state. But Buddha find out that it is already in our mind. He has not created it. He had found out it is already available in our mind. The nirvana state is actually in our mind. And he has not created it. And he find out that everybody is having the same mind within our mind. So the only thing is that we have not identified the actual functioning of the liberated state and the nirvana state. That is why we are in sorrow and suffering. If we are able to understand, if we are able to recognize the real state within our mind, if you are able to feel the actual part of our mind, the real part of our mind, so everybody is in the sorrowless state, everybody is in a freedom, in the state of freedom. So he asked his disciples to announce and spread his teachings that there was such a kind of state, because many people does not know there is some state like this in their own mind, without not knowing, without not caring anything about that mind, they are unable to find out. So if they happen to know some mind is there, some momentum, some action of this kind of mind is there in our own mind, everybody will be interested to find out what is the mind, what is such strange functioning of our mind. So he asked his disciple to express that there was such kind of mind, such kind of feeling, such kind of thing is available in the mind of each and everybody. So he took it is as a mission. But really is there such kind of mind? As Buddha said, but if it is real, we have to realize it for ourselves. If it is real to him, it must be real to us also. Do you know there any function, is there any action of this liberated mind? Is there any action of this nirvana state with your actual mind? What is that liberated state? What is this nirvana state? But in our scriptures and everybody is saying liberated state, mukti, moksha, liberation, everything's there. But they are meaning the same state. How can we recognize, how can we understand? But we are having our mind, there is no doubt about it. Everybody knows we are having our mind. And in our mind, through our mind alone, we are doing everything. If you do not have our mind, we cannot function in this world. So the mind alone is the tool, the mind alone is the mechanism by which we live in this world, which we do many things in the world. We have developed a great extent of science, the extent of scientific world, through our mind, created it through our mind. So in this mind, what is this special part, this special dimension? Is there any special dimension in our mind? As we know, because nobody can say, I have no mind. Nobody can say, I do not know there is mind. So everybody knows the function of our mind. But in our functioning, how does it function? What is the functioning of our mind? As we know, one part of our mind is intellect. The intellect having many knowledge about many things, many ideas, many conclusions, theories. Everything is in our mind. Everything is in our intellect part of our mind. We studied many things. We studied engineering. We studied mathematics. We studied science. We gathered many knowledge. We got many experience. We got many knowledge from our experience. We stored up all our experiences. We created many ideas. We heard many people saying many philosophies, many ideas, many concepts on various aspects, various ways of living. And we gathered all those things in our memory and used the memory, and thereby we use our intellect. Through our intellect alone, we live our life. We are leading our life. So what we are doing is only through our intellect. Without intellect, nobody can function. Without using your intellect, you cannot return to your home. So intellect is the main thing by which you are doing everything. That is one of the main part of our mind. And there is one another part. That is our conscious part. The conscious part, the basic structure of our mind. Consciousness, as we know, we have different kind of consciousness, conscious expression. We may have happiness, we may have sorrow, we may have fear, we may have anger. Everything is our feeling, everything is our emotion. All happens in our mind. It is the expression of our consciousness. All these feelings, all these emotion, all this expression is our consciousness. So if there is no expression, there cannot be any consciousness. So we cannot separate the consciousness from its expression. So whenever we have some expression, then only we know we have some consciousness. So the consciousness is the basic part of our mind. So the consciousness and intellect joins together. We totally know, feel and say it is mind. So the mind is made up of two parts. One is consciousness and the other one is the intellect. The intellect part is the main part by which we are leading our life. We are doing many things in the world. We are doing all our duties, external and internally. We use our intellect. And the conscious part is our real feeling. And this conscious part, all we know, conscious part is not always the same. At one time it may be happy, at the another time it may be unhappy. In some other time it may have some anger, in some other time it may have some fear. So in various ways it expresses itself. So that is the nature and structure of our consciousness. We always have some experience, always have some feeling. So the feeling, the expression is our consciousness. But if we are happy, if we have some good feeling, then it is okay. We will not be worried about that. So instead of that, if we have sorrow, suffering, fear, agony, anger, or anything, some adverse feeling, then because we are not able to bear such kind of feeling. Because we want to be with good feeling. We want to be happy always. So we want to solve and we want to retain our consciousness always with happy state, always in a silent state, always in a blissful state. So that is the main thing everybody wants to have. So everybody wants to have a change in the consciousness. So we want the consciousness must be quiet always. The consciousness must have always a good feeling, some happy feeling. That is always we want. But who is going to execute all these things? Who is going to deal with our consciousness? Who is going to make the consciousness all right? And our intellect part alone comes to deal with the conscious part. Because only through our intellect we can do something. And the intellect part enters to solve the problem of consciousness. But is it possible for the intellect to solve the problem of the consciousness? The problem is in our consciousness. If the consciousness creates, if consciousness no problem, if the consciousness did not create any adverse problem, just like agony or anger or anything, then there is no problem at all. So only the conscious expression alone, that is, we are thinking that it is problem. If it is calm, there is no problem at all. And the intellect alone thinks it has to solve the consciousness. It has to settle the adverse feelings. And thereby our intellect employs various ways, as Buddha himself did. It goes on various ways. It finds various ways to have a settlement within our conscious level. For the time being, we may be happy. If you do some practice of anything, for the time being, we may be happy. Time being, we have a settlement. But in the next moment, our consciousness will be in the old way. It will create all the problem. And one time it is okay, the other time it is not okay. So it is a endless problem. It is an endless game. So what kind of work solve the problem of the consciousness? So if the consciousness is okay, then no problem is there. So what kind of work we have to adopt? What kind of work we have to do to have a permanent settlement? So what has done? We know Buddha sat in a desperate condition in a tree and found out the result and find out the different kind of functioning in his mind. But is there any way to sat like Buddha as in a desperate condition? But what is the intellect? The intellect alone, because we are doing everything only with the help of intellect. We are doing everything through intellect alone. You might come here. Just the door is okay. Otherwise you will go. So our intellect takes the responsibility to have a settlement in the conscious level. And the intellect finds many ways many practices to solve the problem, as Buddha did. Because it is a common experience, because we have done many ways, many practices, and everybody knows the result of that. And once I conducted a meeting just like this, person asked me this problem. I'm always got angry. I find it very difficult to control my anger. It is very easy for me to get anger, but I find it very difficult to control my anger. Please tell me a device to control my anger, because it is very difficult for me. Getting anger is very easy, but controlling anger is very hard. So how can we make it very simple to control my anger? Please help me. Please give me an idea. He asked me like that. So I told him that I also agree it is very hard to control your anger. I also admit that it is very difficult to control anger, so I will not give you the remedy for that. I cannot give you any idea to solve your anger. Because as you told, it is very difficult to control anger, so I also admit it is very difficult to control anger. So there is no difference of opinion in controlling the anger. But I am disagreeing with the other thing, the earlier thing. The earlier thing is that he says that it is very easy to get anger. This is his first statement. The second statement, it is very hard to control anger. I am agreeing with his second statement, but I am disagreeing with his first statement. It is very easy to get anger. So you have to prove your anger. You have to prove that it is very easy to get anger. So you prove for yourself that you have to keep anger from morning till evening. Because it is your statement. It is very easy to get anger. It is very easy. If it is easy, please be in the anger till the evening, from the morning till evening. Hello? And if our intellect do not do anything, salvation of our consciousness is natural. And the intellect, the finding of the incapability of the intellect can be felt very easily. If you examine the nature of the intellect, very easily you can find out. A schoolboy can very easily find out. And if we find out our intellect is useless, is latent in our consciousness, the problem is solved. There is not at all any problem. The real problem is the unnecessary intervention of the intellect into the level of consciousness. Even though there may be many problems in the consciousness, all the problem of consciousness will solve itself, because nothing can exist for more than a fraction of a second. We need not do anything. That is the nature of universe. That's the law of universe. But only the intellect alone try to create some standard, trying to create some state in the consciousness. That is the problem. So the intellect has to be free from the problem, free from the responsibility. So it happens in the case of surrender also. In many people, there are certain other people, they got the liberation, thinking that he himself is the absolute reality. The scriptures, even the scriptures also says, you are not an ordinary human being, you are not a body, you are not a mind, you are the absolute reality itself. So saying, and if our intellect believes I am the absolute reality, thereby also the salvation is possible. Even this belief that I am the absolute, but it is only a belief. It is only the belief of the intellect. It is not an actuality. Only the belief of the intellect. But if the intellect believes like that, the salvation is there. If you understand, if you believe that you are the absolute reality, when you take yourself to the absolute reality, then what work we have? Because if we understand, if we think we are the emperor of this world, then will you go on begging anything for ourselves? Because everything is ours, because everything is mine. Because I am the absolute reality, I have nothing to beg. Because I am the owner of everything. So in this, if you take yourself to the absolute reality, then the intellect will not assume any responsibility to do anything, because it owns everything. When you are the owner of everything, you do not try to change anything. You accept everything as your own. You accept everything as your part. But this concept, faith upon this concept, that cannot be accepted very easily, because we need some faith. We need some a knowledge about the scriptures, some logic about the scriptures is necessary. So it is not an ordinary person cannot come to that conclusion that I am the absolute reality. We may have several doubts upon that. Ordinary person will create many doubts upon that. But this simple fact, the intellect cannot do anything within the level of consciousness, this is an open fact. An ordinary human being can understand. Our intellect has no power over the conscious level. So if you understand this simple fact, and this simple fact is known as understanding or enlightenment. So the enlightenment is related to the intellectual level, the intellect level alone. And the liberation is related to our consciousness. And we need not cultivate liberation in the consciousness. The very nature of our consciousness is in the liberated state. But thinking that we have to attain something, then only the intellect unnecessarily interferes with the natural flow of our consciousness. That is the main problem. So intellect understand its inability, understand its limitations, then it will no longer unnecessarily interfere with the natural flow of our consciousness. So when the intellect does not interfere with the natural flow, all our consciousness keeps on going, keeps on flowing. So each and every moment is new. Each and every moment is a real being, real feeling, real being. But only our intellect that is only an imaginary process. So all the content of our intellect is only past memories. So it creates only imagination. There cannot be any reality in the intellect level. So the very nature of understanding relates only to the intellectual level. So if you are intellectually and if you are able to understand it intellectually, the real problem solves permanently. So assuming some responsibility on the intellectual level alone creates all the problem. So not taking in a responsibility in the intellectual level, it solves everything. So that the problem and solution is available only in the intellectual level. But many people think, many of us think that the problem is in the conscious level. Then only we are struggling with that. We are expecting some change in the conscious level. We try to make change in the conscious level. So if you try to make change, it is an endless process. But if you understand the limitation of our intellect, then you need not interfere. When you do not interfere with the consciousness, all changes, all salvation happens naturally. We need not create anything. All salvation, all changes, everything happens naturally. So that is the nature of our consciousness.